Welcome, welcome. Hi, everyone. My name is Uche Maple, the leadership and business strategist. Thank you for joining us today. Listen, we have an amazing person coming up here who's going to talk about the importance of marketing and why we need it, especially as small business owners. But before that, welcome to the Leap community. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining in. And as always, make sure you like, subscribe, and share so that we can get the amazing information acknowledged out there for busy entrepreneurs who are working a full-time job that need help in order to move forward towards their greatness. Just want to remind you, at the end of this month, we're having a 3-day workshop masterclass on how to launch your business in 30 days. Yes, I said it in 30 days. Oftentimes we hear that it takes 6 months, a year, but depending on where you are and the price point of your product, we're going to make this easy, simple, and lean. So you'll be getting the lean framework blueprint on how to launch your business in 30 days. The link is in the comments. Make sure you guys click on there, register, and we're going to have an amazing time. Yes, yes. And as always, make sure you go to www.ucheanyemaple.com to get the latest information on the events that we're having and what's coming up, especially in 2023. In 2023, we're talking about positioning, marketing, and execution. That's what we're going to be focused on, especially as aspiring business owners and high-performing professionals who are trying to start a business while working their full-time job without being overwhelmed, frustrated, or stressed, right? We want to make sure that we're in a position for you to build wealth and create legacy. Okay, so let's bring on our guest host, Dr. Shamika Dean. I'm excited that she's here today, and let's bring her up. And guys, please give her a round of applause for coming on here.
Hello.
How are you? How are you?
I'm doing amazing. How are you? You look amazing. It's the
Thank
red.
you.
It's the red for me.
Oh, listen, that's my signature color, and so do you. For
Thank
those of
you.
you who don't know, I met Dr. Shamika James. It was like in May of this year.
Hmm.
And let me tell you, this sister here was on fire. When you talk about someone knowing what it means to do crucial conversations in the moment that is required, she was phenomenal. Let's be clear. And she was able to root out the problem and provide a solution. Okay, that's all I would say. But we are in. And ever since I saw that, because I'm always looking at behaviors on how people address issues in front of them, she has just been a staple. I've been following her ever since, especially on Instagram and social media, and always loving the content that you're putting out there. And it's just been amazing. So you're fierce. First and
Thank
foremost, you're
you. Thank
fierce.
you.
Fierce. So I'm going to do like just a formal introduction of who she is, but then we're going to get more into the detail where we get to ask her a lot of amazing questions, things that people we wonder about, but we don't know about, and where we're going to have really just be an authentic conversation here.
I love
All right.
it.
So Dr. Shamika Dean is an award-winning business owner and social thought leader, and is the #1 marketing solutionist for business owners, organizations, and corporations. She's known for teaching transformational truth in a thought-provoking way through the idea that a healthy belief system can become a birthing system. Dr. Dean teaches the importance of living in the life that we are working to create. And through her transformation and healing from broken belief systems, she changes people's lives by helping them pull the greatness out of people, by helping entrepreneurs achieve things they never thought they could. She revolutionizes what it means to run a business. She teaches business owners how to create more impact, more income without being overcome with business demands. Gone are the days we hustle hard to gain little, that we begin to lose the time provided and we want to enjoy it. So, welcome, welcome, Dr. Dean.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here today.
So, how's everything been going so far this year?
It's been going great. The challenges and changes, in the industry, the fear that, some people are in, we've been able to, pivot instead of panic. And I think that as you're growing a business, that is just a mindset that you have to have. Things are not always going to go the way that you want them to go, but you have the power to pivot. That's the beauty of being, in entrepreneurship. So things have been great. We've had to do some pivoting, but things are still going well.
So, what and how did you get into entrepreneurship?
Honey, I was fired.
Oh no, let's hear it. Yeah.
I was fired. I tell people all the time I didn't choose it, it chose me. But I will say that, even as a young adolescent, like I knew at some point in my life I wasn't going to work for anyone else because I just didn't like being told what to do. My mom always said I was stubborn, but I say it was the leadership in me, ma'am. And so, but I went to work one day. I thought I was going to get my annual review. The rating that I needed to keep my job was a 3.0. They rated me a 2.98.
Wow.
Yes. And it wasn't because I wasn't producing. I was the highest producing, even in a management position. I was still the highest producing person in the department. But they said that I used too much of my PTO. Yeah, that was what they came up with. But I knew that it was time for me to leave. God had told me 2 years prior to leave the job, but fear kept me in a place of comfort. And so God made me uncomfortable so that I could be catapulted into my destiny, which is entrepreneurship.
Wow. When did you finally find your footing into which part of being a business owner, like which area of expertise?
So I tried a lot of different things. And I think that's just kind of part of the journey. But I got to a point where I was just, I sat and I thought, what is the one thing I'm effortlessly just great at without thinking about it? Like, what is that thing that I do? And so it was marketing. And as I looked back in retrospect, marketing was the one thing I never invested in. That's what was crazy. So
Mm.
I'd invested in branding. I'd invested in growing a YouTube platform. I'd invested in learning how to create a signature program. I'd invested in, just learning how to grow my revenue. I'd invested in a lot of things, but marketing was not the thing that I invested in. So it was crazy because as I would get into these other programs, I would have some of the coaches would ask me, well, who does your marketing? Who developed your brand? Like, who's on your team? And I say me, you know. And so that's when it just kind of hit me. And then I also polled my audience and said, hey, what is it that brought you to me? Like, why did you decide to follow me? And they were just like, the way you market is different. Right.
Mm.
And so that's how I kind of identified that. And I also had a coach who confirmed it.
I love that story.
Mhm.
I absolutely love it. And the reason why is that you, without knowing it, you were leveraging your strengths
Without knowing it. Yes.
without knowing it. And then when you finally had your epiphany,
Mhm.
it only made sense.
Yeah.
How has that shifted now that you are operating in your highest level of performance?
Well, for one, I made more money than I ever made, in like a couple of days. I made what it at one point, had taken me, 2 years to do. You get what I'm saying? So it that was one of the things, but it also was a flow. I flowed freely, I flowed fluently. I didn't have to force anything. Like the content came easy for me. Having that conversation with people about what it is I do and the transformation I provided it just came so easy to me. So I believe that alignment activates acceleration,
Mm.
right? So once I got into alignment, everything began to accelerate. More people found me. My messaging was clear. And I was able to make more impact because I was actually aligned with the audience that I was supposed to be serving to begin with.
I love it. Alignment equals more
Ex- yeah,
acceleration.
alignment activates acceleration.
Oof,
Mm,
facts.
yeah.
I'm going to use that, by the way.
Okay, go ahead.
that is that is phenomenal. I
Mhm.
absolutely love that. That is so once you became activated,
Mhm.
it just started going from there.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Because anything out of alignment causes a blockage. So if you think about the spine, if you know anything about the spine is connected to every major organ in your body. So the slightest misalignment in your spine can cause a heart blockage. The slightest, misalignment in your spine can impact your lungs, right? So whenever you find yourself at a place where you're stuck, I always ask myself, where am I out of alignment? Where am I misaligned?
Mhm.
And so when I can understand where I'm misaligned, it gives me the strategy that I'm looking for, right? So that's what I teach my clients as well. If you're in a place where you're stuck, you're stagnant, now there's, a part of the building phase, in business or when
Yeah.
you're venturing out into something new. But if you're doing this thing consistently and there are no results, something is out of alignment. So let's go back and look at what's in alignment. Are you in alignment with your core beliefs? Are you in alignment with the audience you're supposed to be working with? Are you in alignment with your offer? Is your messaging aligned with your offer and the audience that you're supposed to reach? Right. So it's always like that analysis. Like, let's go back, let's look at everything and make sure you're in alignment in every area.
Love it. Love it. Exciting. So, how did you get into marketing? You said by default it
Hmm.
was already in you. Did you
Yes.
ever take any classes at all growing up?
No.
Wow.
Actually, my original career choice was when I was in school. I said I wanted to be an attorney because I just used to like to fight for people. And but when I graduated from school, what was popular at that time was programming, computer programming, information systems. So that's initially what I went to school for. I was going to be a forensic specialist
Mhm.
in a computer forensics specialist because I just like to put the pieces together, figure out what's wrong, so that I can say, oh, yep, this is the root. This is what's going on right here. And so I actually started there. But like I said, as I got into entrepreneurship, like I said, I was forced into it. I just found that thing. So they weren't even teaching about marketing when I was in school. It was
Mhm.
you know, no one taught that. Not where I'm from, I would say,
Mhm.
because I'm from a very small town. So the
What
population,
city? What time? I mean, what state?
Arkansas.
Okay. Oh, you're
And
right next door to me.
yeah, the population was 1,400 when I graduated from high school.
Of
Yes,
what? The city?
the city. Yes, that was it.
Oh,
1,400.
wow.
We had one stoplight, no
Oh,
McDonald's.
you really from the country? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
country
yeah.
girl, baby. I listen. We ride four-wheelers and we will hop on a tractor and jump on a horse down the street, on any given Sunday.
Right.
So yeah, so we didn't have I didn't have that kind of opportunity before me when I was
Mhm.
in high school.
Mhm. Okay. I love that. I love that. So, why is marketing critical to any business success?
So I always tell people that branding is your business's reputation and marketing is how you make your revenue. So you can have an amazing product, but if you're not presenting it properly before the people, you won't generate a profit.
Mhm.
So marketing is necessary. No matter what marketing method you use, no matter what marketing strategy you use, marketing is necessary for you to make your revenue. So
Mhm.
there are a lot of great people, right? We know a lot of great talent. We know uncles in our families that can sing better than the best of the best. They'll put Luther to sleep. They'll sing Luther under the table.
Yeah.
Big Luther and little Luther. But
Mhm.
um, no one knows about their talent. No one knows who they are, and that is because of marketing. So I
Mhm.
don't feel like the best talent wins; the best marketer wins.
Very good.
Mhm.
Yep, very good. What are three challenges that you see small business owners face when they're trying to market their products and services?
The biggest challenge is the messaging. They don't know how to develop their messaging because marketing is messaging and method. So the messaging is the language that you use, and the method is the strategy that you use to put the message out there.
Mhm.
So messaging is the language that you use. I'm sorry, and so that's one of the biggest challenges is that they think that writing their content is the messaging. They think that their captions is messaging. No, the captions and the content are a byproduct of the message that you've developed for
Mhm.
your audience. The other challenge is they don't really know who they're talking to. So when you're not clear on who you are targeting, your messaging breeds confusion.
Mm.
Okay, so that, and then The other challenge that I see is a lack of authenticity. Everybody's trying to look and sound like what seems successful. And what happens is you have a unique sound. And when you are masking in your sound to mirror someone else, then you miss 100% of the people that you're called to serve. So there's an influx of people that have been looking for you, that have been praying for you, that are lost because you sound like everyone else. And so those are the three main challenges that I believe people have with their
Ooh,
market.
those are three critical areas.
Absolutely.
Um, that I know for me, when I started in the space, marketing has always been like this elusive,
Hmm.
esoteric thing that I'm like, okay, now how do you really do this? Because everyone else who I think do it well
Hmm.
look
Hmm.
flawless. When
Hmm.
you do it, I'm like, how's she able to come up with all that stuff?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
and it's attractive,
Hmm.
right? It's like
Hmm.
I can't turn away and I gotta force myself to get off your Instagram because I'll be on there all day. So but that's I like it, the messaging and the methodology behind it.
Hmm.
So there is a strategy on how to do it successfully. I'm going to assume that all commerce, like the Coca-Colas and all that stuff,
Hmm.
they have a process and strategy whenever they're launching a new product.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a developmental phase. And when you're doing launch, we break the launch down into, into four phases. So you have your prerequisites, you have your promotional period, you have your post launch, and then you have your Jesus, now it slipped my mind. But the first part is the prerequisites, like what is it that you actually need to get started? And so in our prerequisites, we talk a lot, we teach you about the mindset that you actually need to make the money that you desire to have. And so I think that step is often skipped and we jump right into, strategy, So
Mhm.
we have the pre-launch, then we have the preparation phase, then we have promotion, and then post-launch. Because even after you have had that final conversation, there's still a post-launch strategy. There is a
Mhm.
follow-up strategy because the funds are in the follow-up, right? And so a lot of people figure when they do that last part of the launch or they put it out there or their cart closes, then that is the end of the launch. It's actually not. There's a
Mhm.
post-launch phase as well.
Okay, very good. Y'all need to be writing this down because she's telling you exactly what it is and what's happening. So, we hear a lot about legacy, we hear a lot about wealth.
Hmm.
What is your stance on creating wealth as a small business owner? Do you think that is one of the avenues to do that?
I do believe entrepreneurship is one of the avenues to building wealth. I don't believe it is the only way, though.
Mhm.
A person who is wise in their investments, whether it be property, whether it be, stocks and bonds, whatever your investment is, you can still build wealth. I believe that you can even build wealth on a 9 to 5. And I also don't believe wealth is only finances. There's no such thing as a wealthy person who's poor in mind, spirit, or body, because wealth is beyond your bank account.
Mhm.
So, but I do believe that entrepreneurship is the fastest way to get you.
Really?
I do. And the
Mm.
reason I say that is because of the freedom and flexibility that you have with entrepreneurship that you don't have if you are working a 9 to 5,
Mhm.
right? And your ability to really venture out into different things, because we know that sometimes on a 9 to 5 there's non-competes there are certain things you can't do while you work for another company. So there are certain limitations there. Again, it doesn't mean that it's impossible. It just means that there are limitations that you would have if you're working for someone else that you wouldn't have if you're building your own.
That's a good point because when I started my business, um, someone has said, "Have you talked to?" This is when I was working. Have you talked to your company to make sure it's not in conflict? And I was like,
Mhm.
"No." And I went and talked to them. They had me meet with HR and da, da,
Mhm.
and then finally they was like, "You know what? It's not in conflict.
Mhm.
Maybe we can bring you on
Ex-
later when you leave, if you
mhm.
ever decide to leave." But
Yeah.
I didn't. It was never. I never thought about it being a conflict.
Mhm. A lot
Um,
of people don't.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't. And I just told a client actually, um,
Because a
Wednesday.
lot of people hide.
Yes, they do. They hide it. And what freedom is it when you have to hide?
Well, what I didn't understand was when you're working a 9 to 5,
Hmm.
we put a lot of time in community service
Hmm.
and no one says anything.
Nope. But
But
when
when
you
you're
start,
working a 9 to 5 and you're investing in yourself,
yes.
you got people speaking on it. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me.
Hmm. Hmm. Because you're only a threat when you become competition.
Mm.
And so that's, if you're now generating income outside of us, number one, do you really need us, or how long are you actually going to be here? So you become a threat.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Hmm.
I never thought about it that way, but that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Which stops a lot of people from doing anything, or they
Absolutely.
do it in secrecy.
They don't want to lose the security. So it's like I could go out here to this thing that's kind of unknown. I don't know how successful it's going to be, or I could stay here where it's secure. I know that I'm going to get paid every week, every 2 weeks, every month, whatever the case may be. And I still have access to health insurance. They're responsible for the overhead. They're responsible for all the big things, right?
Mhm.
And so I don't want to risk this revenue, for revenue that I may not get. Is kind of the mindset that people are in.
Right, right. Um, what legacy do you want to leave behind and why?
I think the way that I define legacy is impact and imprint, right? So the lives that I'm supposed to impact while I'm here, and the imprint that I'm to leave in the earth when I'm gone. So the legacy that I want to leave is one that when people mention my name, the common phrase is, what she said or did changed my life. That's it. You know, whether it be a quote, whether it be a book, whether it be an event, whether it be through a program or product, I want my name to go down in history as one who changed lives and legacies. That's it.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. What wisdom would you offer for new entrepreneurs, people who are going into any type of online service or product space?
The wisdom that I would leave is, number one, if you have a story to tell, you have a product to sell. So
Ooh,
don't
ooh,
dismiss the power and potency of your story.
mm,
The other thing is that um, alignment activates, acceleration. So with that being said, make sure that as you step into this lane, that you step into it as yourself 100%. Because the very thing that you probably were told is not good enough is the thing that's going to take your whole life to the next level. So choose to be authentic. Um, and for those of you who are believers, the reason I also say this is because your anointing only flows through authenticity, right? So you may inspire many people, but you will not truly impact lives or transform lives until you are 100% yourself. And don't be afraid to trust yourself. If it doesn't feel aligned, if you don't have peace. Now there's fear and peace. Fear is not an evidence of a lack of peace. Fear is the evidence that what you're praying for is ready for you to receive it.
mm.
Okay. But if you don't have peace and you're not settled in your spirit, if it does not feel aligned to you, trust that. Trust that. Because oftentimes we can get out of alignment trying to chase somebody else's vision for our lives. So that would be the words of wisdom that I would have.
Okay, that's powerful. Is there anything else the audience should know that we didn't talk about?
Um, I do have my Market Like a Mogul 2023 event that's coming up. Um, I'm just so excited about this direction that God has given me to go in, which is really teaching women how to scale their six-figure businesses without sacrificing themselves and their family.
Mhm.
Um, I believe that the hustle culture has hurt us more than it has helped us, and that the dynamic and the power and beauty of family is being restored. And women will know that you can be a boss in the streets and, a boss in the sheets, right? Like with your husband, like you don't
Yeah.
have to choose one or the other. You can have both. You can be a dynamic mother and make a whole lot of money. And so I'm just on a mission to really show women how to operate in their power, not diminishing or minimizing their purpose, um, and helping them to see that you really can have them both. Like you can have a flourishing, beautiful marriage. You have an amazing relationship with your children, so that family side, and you can also make a whole lot of money, and making impact in the lives outside of your home as well. So we're having that June 30th through July 2nd. Those who register before December, the end of this year, will actually have access to our live monthly sessions. So we'll be teaching and training you even before the event so that you can start getting some of those strategies right now. And you don't have to wait until the event. But yeah, it's gonna be everything and then some.
Where is it?
It's gonna be in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
Mhm.
Y'all heard that. June 30th through July 1st, 2nd,
Yes.
right before 4th of July in
Yes.
Atlanta.
Yes.
Yes, that's gonna be good. I'm excited for it. I plan on showing up there. So
Yes. Thank
yeah,
you.
when I saw that you were marketing, I was like, okay, let me put this down in my calendar, make sure I keep it open. I don't book myself. So
Yes.
yeah, I'm excited for it. Okay, well, thank you for
Oh,
joining us today. This was such a great, thought-provoking conversation. I wish we had more time because we can definitely, anything dealing with marketing, really your belief system is
mhm,
what has captivated me, in terms of what you believe and how you are moving forward.
mhm,
The shift that I love that you did
mhm.
was recognizing that you were out of alignment.
Yep, I did.
Oftentimes, and I can say this for me, it is very difficult to have the courage
Mhm.
to shift when you know that you're out of alignment,
Yes.
because you may become an outlier.
Yeah, and you also the fear of, what it's gonna cost you when you make that shift, who's gonna stay, who's gonna go,
Yeah.
and who do I have to become,
Mm.
you know?
Mhm.
So it was very difficult for me because I tried to, um, market what was popular, or what I believed was profitable, but as Danielle would say, we stay stuck because of the stories we tell ourselves. And everyone, when I started talking about family, is like, that's my foundation. Everybody was like, we can see that. That's your passion. That's what that's
Mhm.
who you are. And so it was as if I thought that I was the only one who was feeling this, but the audience already knew and they were waiting for me to shift in that lane because they're like, I need this. I need to know how can I, build this business if my husband is not on board,
Oof.
how can I not have mommy guilt if I'm trying to build my business and my children are calling, for my attention, those kind of things.
So,
And
quick question.
yeah.
What advice would you give our listeners right now
Mhm,
who are trying to build and
mhm.
their spouse is not on board?
So one of the very big things is communication.
Mhm.
Understanding that number one, you are in partnership. And so everything that you do impacts the entire organization. So if you're in partnership and you have a contract, you signed a contract with someone, and you just jump up and start doing things new without communicating with your partner, yes, it is going to break trust. It is going to embed, insecurities because they don't know who you are anymore, what you're doing. So
Mm.
I think that one of the things that a lot of women get caught up in is we get passionate and we're like, I got it. It's my purpose.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
more than a wife. I'm
Mhm.
more than a mother.
Yeah.
And we go gung ho into building this business, and we fail to realize that we never even included our spouse on the journey. We just said,
Mm.
hey, I'm starting a business,
Mm.
right? But there was no buy-in to the vision. When you get sponsorships, They want to buy into the vision. Did you help the man buy into the vision? You know what I'm saying? And we know that entrepreneurship requires you to become a different person.
It does.
So you actually are changing.
Yeah.
And that brings an alarm to your spouse because you're not the woman that they married.
Yes.
You know, but you have to be able to show them, and this is where marketing comes in, baby. I'm a better version, of who you
Yes.
married, right? And the better I am, the better I can be to you, right? So those kind of things, girl, don't get me started.
No, this is good. That's why I had to ask the question.
But that communication piece and including them as a part of the journey and the vision and helping them to see it unfold, right? You have to understand that it is your responsibility to help them understand the vision and why these changes are happening, what these changes will lead to. What is the vision? you know and so oftentimes we when we don't do that, then of course now your husband feels like you've chosen your business over him, and in reality you did. Because what happens is when you did decide to share the vision, which you probably didn't really go into detail, and he wasn't excited or he may have rejected the idea, you now found safety and security in your business. So that's where you give the most of your time to.
Yes. Yeah.
And your business is growing, but your marriage is crumbling.
Mm-hmm.
And your business actually isn't growing the way that it could because your marriage is crumbling. Right? Because what you connect to determines what you give birth to. And so, yeah.
Well, thank you for that. That's
I'm in my bag. Now. This is my lane.
I know you're in your lane. That's why I made sure I wanted to ask, because I knew it was going to flow and you was going to give us some great advice and information for women who are experiencing that right now, or trying to figure out how they can start and don't know how to have a conversation with their spouse, because you do change, you do
You
shift,
do. You
and you,
change a
you do
lot.
become, it becomes, and if you don't shift together, you end up realizing that you're no longer you're no longer equally yoked in
I
that
just talked about
yeah,
that last night. I
yeah.
said, what happens is when you first, connect with your spouse, you all become equally yoked, whether it's a trauma bond, whether it's lust, love, whatever the case may be. But as you begin to heal or transition and change, that's when the unequal yoke comes in. And so now you're looking at the person that you once loved and adored, because you're changing, you have a renewed mind, a different mindset. Now you begin to resent them because they're not at that place. But here's the thing about that I love about entrepreneurship: it builds the leadership in you. And true leaders know how to develop people.
Yeah.
And so what would you say to a team member? Maybe, yes, you may be able to fire a team member, but you can't fire every team member. There is some leadership development. There's development that has to take place. How can you get your team to be bought into the vision? How can you help them understand that their position is vitally important and it directly impacts the organization as well? Right? So just learning and navigating through that, personally, like a lot of my business skills helped me to become a better wife.
Yeah.
It did help me to become a better wife, because when we start making that money, we can get a little prideful and we don't want to humble ourselves, because when we find safety and security in money, then we start feeling like, oh, well, I don't need you. I'm good. I'm good, sir. I don't need you. Right. And so, truth be told, the money will provide a temporary safety net, but there is no security like the arms of your spouse. I don't care what nobody tell you, because sometimes the business is going to get raggedy. Sometimes you're not going to like your team member. Sometimes you're not going to like yourself. But when you have a spouse there that you can go and lay in their arms and they just simply hold you, or just say, you got this, it's going to be all right. It makes a world of difference. You get your kryptonite back. You know what I'm saying? You get that, you get that power, and you're like, oh, I can go another day. But when you are in that space and you go to bed at night and you take those covers and you turn to the other side, now you got to fight this thing by yourself when you're in the same space with someone. That is a difficult place to be.
Mhm.
Right. So how do you navigate that? Like, how do you move through that? But the first thing is humility, to be honest,
Mhm.
humbling yourself and saying, do you really want, this is one of the questions that I ask these women. And so this is why Shamika Dean Show is going to be about these types of conversations. Is it sometimes is who you want, but not what you want?
Mm.
And do you believe that who you want is capable and willing to give what you want?
Mm.
But you also have to be able to give
Yeah.
what they want. Like there has to be
You have to be able to give what they
you
want.
yes,
Mm.
exactly.
Mm.
And so I think that a lot of women um sometimes as they grow, when they marry, they didn't know who they were. They were probably not healed and whole. So
Mhm.
they married based on where they were and not where they were going.
Yes.
And so as they start to grow, they start looking and like, why did I get married?
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
And it happens. It happens often. Um, and then there comes a decision. And you have to lay all of the cards on the table and really decide, if I stay, can we ever become? If I stay, will this cause me to sabotage or um, not really be who I'm supposed to be?
Mhm.
So those are those hard decisions. Those
Mhm.
are the very hard decisions, but they are decisions that have to be made.
Yeah. Okay. Oof. We got a real good session. This is thank you. This is a real session that you normally gotta pay for. So thank you for giving, because those are all good nuggets and great information that we should be thinking about as women, especially when we start and when our business grows.
That's why we shouldn't be so quickly to say, I do,
Yes.
and when we don't know who we are.
Yes.
That's why I wrote a book years ago and it still sells. I don't know why it's selling. I don't put it
What's the
out.
name of it?
It's called Positioning Yourself to Be a Wife, the ultimate guide to your one and only marriage.
Mm.
Um, and it's not about marriage. It's really about helping that woman to become who she needs to be first before she tries to be anything to anybody else.
Mm. Yeah.
Because so many women are trying to, they are replicas of brokenness.
Mm.
And so when they get into marriage or they decide to pursue, becoming a wife, they don't do the work within so that they can attract the right man,
Mm.
right? Because we attract who we are, not who we pretend to be.
Mm. Oof.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So I
Yes.
wrote the book because that was my journey. When my husband and I first married, I know who I was.
Mm.
I knew I was like, I'm not about to be out here just, dropping
Right.
it like it's hot.
Right.
I'm ready,
Yeah.
I didn't know who I was. And so we divorced after 7 years. We remarried, thank God. We've celebrated 17 years in September.
Congrats. Yeah.
But that book is the journey that God took me through
Mm.
to become the woman I needed to be first, so that I was not finding my value or my identity in my husband or in the title of being a married woman, but I knew who Shamika Dean was, so that I would not only be who I needed to be to myself, but so that I could show up as the wife and not the wounded woman who was looking for a marriage to heal her wounds,
Mm.
you know?
Mhm.
And even just those wounds just tearing. I would tell anybody, I didn't respect him because I went into it like, I don't really need you. You here because you're here. I went into it with that mindset, but it really was a defense mechanism. I was trying to protect myself from the vow I made in a place of pain,
Mm.
you know? And
Mm.
so just those kind of dynamics, when you take those things into your relationship, um, two broken people don't make a whole person.
Right.
And so when you take those things into your relationship, it impacts every area of it. It impacts it in every capacity. And
Mhm.
so that's where I was, but I knew that that's not where I wanted to stay. And so God said
Mhm.
to me, uh, heal. You have to do the work.
Mhm.
If you really want a marriage that is going to be healthy and happy, you have to heal first. Not that we don't have any scars or that something will come
Mhm.
back and trigger us, but I had to take care of the stuff. I had to forgive my mother. I had to forgive my father. I had to forgive myself for being a teen mother. I had to forgive myself
Mhm.
for dealing with toxic relationships. I had to
Mhm.
go through that process. Um, and so when you take the time to really do the work in you first, your outlook, the way you see men and relationships, is going to, you're not even attracted to the same type of people. I wanted a thug,
Mhm.
I want the hood dude,
Mhm.
until I started to heal. And I was just like, why would I even want something that I know is going to hurt me? Think about
Right. Yes.
you know but it's because when you are wounded, like attracts like,
Mhm.
and you
Mhm.
don't see the toxicity and you don't see the pain until you start hanging around healed people.
Mm.
you know so
Yeah.
I went through that, and that, like I said, that book is still selling like crazy. Like, I don't know if somebody posted it, but I've just been getting an influx. And to me, it was confirmation. Like,
That's
Shamika, this is your work.
yeah.
This is your work. Whether you want to do it or not,
Yeah.
this is your work. And so I just said, I accept the assignment because I know what it's like to be in that place, and I know how to talk to that woman.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
Powerful words.
Yeah.
All right. Woo. Thank you for sharing. That was awesome.
You're welcome.
Um, so we're going to end now. And for those of you who have any comments, or we're going to definitely put Dr. Shamika's information in the comments where you can definitely register for her event and be able to attend. Are you going to be selling any of your books there?
Yes, I'll
Okay.
have the books. I'm gonna bring both this time.
Hmm. That's
So
good.
I will have the books, yes.
Okay. Well, everyone, thank you for joining Leap Forward TV, and we'll see you at the next one. Have a great day. Bye.